on to the wide receivers, one of the most exciting parts of this offense. Damn, dude. Don't it feel good to say that? I mean, think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Wide receivers, one of the most exciting parts of a Titans offense.
Yeah, it's hard to believe, buddy.
I'm excited about it, dude. We got
Me too,
receivers, plural. The Titans were able to score a big free agency victory by stealing Calvin Ridley away from the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville could have reached an agreement with Ridley prior to free agency, but would have had to have given up a second-round pick to Atlanta. By letting Calvin hit free agency, they only gave up a third. But that opened up the door for other teams to talk to him. And Titans GM Rand Carthon was able to get the deal done. You can smell what the Rand is cooking. Now, instantly, the narrative nationally became that the Tennessee Titans had severely overpaid for another aging receiver. Yeah, it's going to look like a steal when Calvin goes for 1,300 yards this season, though. Well, let's hope so. But already the wide receiver market has blown up since the deal. If Ridley is a wide receiver number one, and he is, then it's a steal. Here's the thing. Calvin is 29. But he hasn't had the wear and tear of a normal 29-year-old. If you look at what Calvin did last year, he came back from the suspension after 2 years off and was able to be a legitimate number one receiver still, right out the gate. This league moves so fast that there's never any guarantee that a player can come back after that amount of time off. Look at Deshaun Watson after missing that kind of time. He is yet to ever look like the same player.
Yeah.
But Calvin was put in a less than ideal situation due to Christian Kirk getting injured. The Jaguars then made the decision to play Ridley as an X receiver on a large number of snaps. An X receiver is a boundary receiver that plays on the line of scrimmage. And the traits for what you typically look for in an X receiver, those are not exactly Calvin Ridley's strengths. Because an X receiver lines up directly on the line of scrimmage. It allows defenses to play very physical press man coverage within the first 5 yards. This is why the prototypical X receiver is a larger framed player, because they can fight through the contact. DeAndre Hopkins is an X receiver. Calvin's skill set is much more typical of what you would want in a Z receiver. Calvin is extremely fast, and he's an absolutely elite route runner. When he can be utilized as a Z receiver or in the slot, you can line him up favorably and get good matchups in the backfield and get him free releases. So even though he was playing out of position last year, and it was his first season back in 2 years, and he struggled with some drops, he still proved to be a number one receiver. He was 27th in the league in receiving yards. That's top 32. That's a number one. Now he comes to Nashville. He's going to line up next to DeAndre Hopkins, who was the 21st receiver by yards last season. And DeAndre Hopkins is age 31 going into the season. Again, another reason why you'll see the Titans criticized for having old wide receivers. But DeAndre Hopkins has absolutely been a playmaker for Tennessee. Has Father Time caught up with him? No. Maybe, to some degree. He probably doesn't have the same top-end speed as peak D-Hop, but that's never really been D-Hop's game. He's thrived off of top-tier route-running ability, but instead of pairing it with speed like Ridley does, Hopkins pairs it with a wingspan and ranginess that allows him to come down with the ball in any contested situation. He is that physical X receiver that you want on the outside. Trashy, I gotta say, brother, I don't think I've ever seen a receiver on the Titans that had hands like old D-Hop, man. I mean, anything near that dude, he comes down with it. It's like he's got magnets in his gloves or something, man. Yeah, his pass catching ability is unrivaled. There was some catches last year that are among the best that I've seen any Titans receiver come down with. He's the perfect receiver to line up across from Calvin, in my opinion. Nuke proved he was still a dangerous wide receiver last season, despite being the only real passing target Will Levis had. Hopefully, pairing the two of them together will bring out the best in both of them. Next here is Tyler Boyd, who is coming in to be the starting slot receiver, and it's a job he is very qualified to do, as he's played this exact role in Brian Callahan's offense the last few years for the Cincinnati Bengals. He is a tall, rangy player and a big slot receiver who has been a consistent chain mover for the Cincinnati Bengals over the last few seasons. He has a great feel for finding the holes in zone coverage, so he's coming in already knowing the offense in large part and will be able to help his fellow receivers and Will Levis understand the intricacies of it. And it's a very high-end number 3 receiver.
Yeah.
And again, the criticism that you're going to see is that Boyd is 29 years old. So,
of course,
again, the age of our top 3 wide receivers is probably the oldest in the league. But for everything on this roster that is an unknown and that is a projection, it's nice to have some proven talents, especially at the wide receiver position.
damn right.
And up next on the depth chart is Titans legend NWI.
NWI. For life.
And one of the first moves coming out of free agency this year was the re-signing of Nick Westbrook at Kine.
NWI.
If you haven't come to love NWI at this point, then you're probably not a real Titans fan. NWI is currently on the roster right where he should be as far as depth goes. But how many times have we ended up with Nick having to step up and be wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1 even? You know, Nick is very, very qualified to be at this position on the depth chart. It's when you're dependent on NWI to try and be an actual playmaker that you're getting outside of the range of what he's capable of giving you. But for a wide receiver 4, it's really a testament to how much this wide receiver room has been overhauled. And the final receiver we'll grade here is Treylon Burks. Oh, God, here we go. I don't think we have to be harsh here, but we can say that Treylon has not lived up to the expectations of a first-round pick. And that's on him to step up to that level. But what's unfortunate is that because he was traded almost straight up for A.J. Brown, that comparison is always going to loom over top of him, and that's unfair. Last year, DeAndre Hopkins coming in, there was hope that it would take the pressure off of Treylon and allow him to develop into the number 2 role, but there would be a knee injury that would pop up in a joint practice with Minnesota, and that created issues throughout the year. And then there was the concussions that popped up once again. Man, I remember sitting there watching that Steelers game being so pissed, dude. Not cause of the play or anything like that, but it seemed like it took forever for the announcers to notice that poor Treylon is laying there unconscious on the sideline. I mean, they're just chit-chatting about everything else, and dude's laying there out cold. And that's the thing that scares me, man, that back-to-back years with vicious concussions. I mean, out cold on the field. And that hit in Philly, man, and it changed the whole trajectory of that game, if not Treylon's career. Yeah, there's no way we'll ever know, but first and foremost, hoping Treylon gets a chance to compete this year without having to deal with the injuries.
Yeah.
Because he has all the physical tools to be a top receiver in this league. He's got the size, he's got the speed, but it's the route running, it's the separation, it's the skill and art of being a receiver that he has to develop. He's finally working in a legitimate NFL offense. Brian Callahan has stated multiple times that he's made it a goal of his to find a role for him. Tyke Tolbert, wide receiver coach, stated that he's got Traylon working at every position, outside and inside. If you look at the Arkansas tape, he was really used more as a gadget player. Just put him in space, get him the ball, let him run with it, and hopefully they can find a role for him in this offense to be able to contribute. There's nothing I would love to see more this year, other than a Super Bowl or maybe a Will Levis MVP. But like the third most thing I'd like to see this season would probably be a Traylon Burks breakout.
Yeah, I'm rooting for him, man. I reckon.
If you will, please subscribe, please like, and leave us a comment if you're enjoying this. It's really hard getting a new channel like this up off the ground. So if you enjoy it, help us out. Give us a thumbs up.
Yeah. What Trashy's trying to say there is that actually, guys, if y'all don't subscribe and you don't hit the like button, maybe leave enough comments down below, then Tennessee Titans is gonna lose a lot of games this season. Don't ask me how I know that, but that's actually true.
It's a hunch, okay? So I mean,
I heard that.
I ain't got no way to prove it, but you're gonna feel really, really guilty if the Titans have a dog shit season.
Yeah.
All because you were too lazy to click the subscribe button. It would be your fault. Just to be safe. Right now.
Please.
Seriously. Thank you.